There is a weapon that does not come from the sky. It comes from 1,000 meters below the ocean, moves at reported speeds up to 100 knots, carries a nuclear warhead measured in megatons, and can cross oceans without normal fuel. One Khabarovsk-class submarine is believed to carry 6 of them. That means one hidden submarine can create 6 nuclear threats against 6 coastal targets, all moving through the hardest environment on Earth to monitor. That is the Poseidon problem. For 70 years, nuclear defense meant looking up. Satellites watched missile fields. Radar arrays scanned the horizon. Interceptors were designed around one basic assumption: the nuclear threat comes from above. Poseidon changes the direction of the attack. It does not fly through radar arcs, pass through space, or follow the predictable path of a ballistic missile. It travels under the ocean, below the defense architecture built for the missile age. If even one weapon reaches a coastline, the result is a strategic disaster measured in destroyed ports, contaminated infrastructure, broken logistics, and cities facing a threat they cannot see coming. Poseidon is often called a torpedo, but that word makes it sound smaller than it is. A normal torpedo is designed to find a ship and destroy it. Poseidon is designed to cross oceans and deliver nuclear punishment from below. The reported specifications are extreme. The weapon is believed to be around 20 meters long, powered by a miniature nuclear reactor, able to operate around 1,000 meters deep, and capable of a range often described as virtually unlimited. Its speed is one of the most disturbing parts of the concept. Many reports describe a cruising speed around 30 knots, with a possible final dash above 100 knots. That compresses the final reaction window into minutes. Minutes? Not 30 minutes. That matters because missile defense is built around time. A ballistic missile launch creates a track, a radar picture, a warning chain, and an intercept opportunity. Poseidon creates a different problem: a hidden underwater object that may already be moving before anyone knows it exists. The ocean is a brutal place to search. It is dark, deep, loud, and constantly changing. Thermal layers bend sound. Civilian ships create noise. Seismic movement, marine life, currents, pressure changes, and false contacts distort the picture. Inside that chaos, a 20-meter autonomous nuclear drone can move without a pilot, without surfacing, and without constant communication. It does not need to broadcast its location. It does not need to follow the same behavior patterns as a manned submarine. The defender has to be right every time. Poseidon only has to get through once. Then comes the warhead. Russian media claims have sometimes floated dramatic numbers as high as 100 megatons, but many Western analysts treat that as propaganda. Even a more conservative 2-megaton estimate is terrifying enough. A 2-megaton warhead is more than 100 times the force of Hiroshima. Underwater, near a coastline, that power becomes a combination of blast, pressure, water displacement, port destruction, and radioactive contamination. The explosion is only the first effect. A weapon this size cannot be carried like a standard torpedo. It needs a special mothership, and Russia has built that concept around platforms linked to the Poseidon mission: Belgorod and Khabarovsk. The K-329 Belgorod is the first known operational platform associated with Poseidon. At around 184 meters, it is one of the longest submarines ever built, modified from an Oscar II hull for special missions and strategic weapons delivery. Belgorod was the conversion. It turned an existing submarine design into a special-purpose platform and showed that Poseidon was not just a drawing, rumor, or psychological message. Khabarovsk is the cleaner threat. Unlike Belgorod, Khabarovsk is believed to be purpose-built around the Poseidon mission. It appears smaller, more focused, and designed from the beginning to carry autonomous underwater nuclear weapons on strategic patrols. If one Khabarovsk carries 6 Poseidons, then one patrol creates 6 questions at once. Where is the submarine? Is it armed? Has it launched? How many weapons are moving? Which coastline is targeted? How much warning remains? That pressure begins before launch. A missile silo can be watched from orbit. A mobile launcher can be hunted from above. A bomber can be tracked by radar, satellites, and air defense networks. A submarine disappears into the ocean. Once it leaves port, the countdown becomes invisible. That is why Poseidon is more than a weapon. It is a strategic message. Russia does not need to match NATO carrier for carrier, aircraft for aircraft, or destroyer for destroyer. It can build a system that bypasses the surface competition. The logic is brutal. A single platform carries several independent nuclear threats. Each one can move through the ocean, approach from a direction no radar scans, and threaten the coastal systems that keep a modern country alive. That is why the fear does not begin when Poseidon is detected. The fear begins when the carrier submarine leaves port, because from that moment, the ocean itself becomes the launch corridor. Poseidon is built around second strike logic. If a nuclear war begins and Russia's land-based missiles are destroyed, intercepted, or degraded, Poseidon gives Moscow another route of retaliation. That route does not pass through the sky. It does not give a clean 30-minute missile warning. It does not follow the same detection pattern as an ICBM. It comes from the deep, where the defender sees less and reacts later. The targets are obvious: ports, naval bases, submarine docks, refineries, shipyards, fuel farms, financial centers, coastal command hubs, and energy terminals. These are the systems that make a modern coastal economy function. A port is more than a water and cranes. It is fuel storage, rail links, trucking routes, repair docks, warehouses, container yards, naval berths, power lines, communication nodes, and access roads. Break those systems, and the port stops working. That is why Poseidon does not need to hit one exact building. It can attack the ecosystem around it: fuel, logistics, repair capacity, naval support, recovery equipment, access roads, emergency response, and the coastline itself. This is where the famous radioactive tsunami story becomes misleading. A nuclear underwater blast does not behave like a giant earthquake. It does not automatically create an ocean-spanning wall of water moving across the Atlantic like a movie scene. The real threat is more precise. A 2-megaton underwater detonation near shallow coastal water creates three main effects. First comes the blast and pressure wave, which can destroy ships, docks, bridges, fuel tanks, storage sites, and nearby infrastructure across a wide area. Second comes water displacement. It may not be a Hollywood mega tsunami, but a local surge near a port or naval base can still flood low-lying infrastructure, damage vessels, break docks, and turn recovery operations into chaos. Third comes contamination, and this is the effect that matters most. An underwater nuclear explosion pulls seawater, seabed sediment, debris, and vaporized material into a radioactive cloud. Then that material falls back down across the coastline. It can fall over docks, ships, port warehouses, roads, rail links, fuel sites, naval facilities, and surrounding urban zones. The result is denial of use. You do not need a 500-meter wave to paralyze a coastline. You need a coastline too contaminated to use. That is the horror of Poseidon. It is a punishment weapon, designed to make a government imagine what could happen to its coastal cities, naval bases, ports, and economic arteries in a nuclear crisis. So the question becomes simple: can it be stopped? The United States has the most advanced anti-submarine warfare network in the world. Virginia-class attack submarines, P-8A Poseidon aircraft, sonobuoys, seabed sensors, surface ships, satellites, and decades of experience hunting Russian submarines. Poseidon still creates a cruel defensive problem. Its reported 1,000-meter operating depth places it in a difficult zone for interception, while its possible 100-knot dash speed compresses the reaction window into minutes. Its autonomous nature makes the problem even harder. It does not need constant communication. It does not need a crew. It does not need to transmit, surface, or reveal itself through the same patterns as a manned submarine. A submarine has machinery, crew activity, movement patterns, and communication needs. Poseidon is smaller, unmanned, deep, fast, and designed for one final mission. By the time it enters terminal approach, warning time could be measured in minutes. That is why the math is ugly. The defender must detect it, classify it, localize it, position a weapon, and destroy it under extreme time pressure in the most difficult combat environment on Earth. The attacker only needs one weapon to get through, and if one submarine carries 6 Poseidons, the defender may need to solve that problem 6 times from one hidden platform. Every weapon becomes a separate crisis. Poseidon is not built to win a normal war. It is built to make a normal war almost impossible to escalate without terrifying consequences. It does not replace Russia's ICBMs. It sits beneath them, literally and strategically. It is a hidden second strike system moving outside the missile defense architecture, threatening coastal cities, ports, bases, and economic arteries. The question is no longer only about speed, depth, or warhead size. The real question is whether any defense system can be perfect forever against a weapon that comes from below, gives almost no warning, and turns the ocean into the launch corridor. Is Poseidon a real strategic game-changer that rewrites nuclear deterrence from below the surface? Or is it a psychological weapon built to make NATO spend billions chasing it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more threat breakdowns like this, subscribe and follow the next one.